Hi, everyone, and welcome to Strategic Wealth Strategies with our host, Alan Porter. Alan, how are you? What's going on? And you've been talking about this guy a lot in our podcasts, and now I finally get to meet him.
Well, I've known Tom. I don't know if he's known me for many years, but I've known him for about 8 years now. Tom is nationally produced nationally known books, speaker on PBS. His information is taught to him and me by the PhDs in retirement, Dr. Moshe Milevsky, Dr. Robert Babel, Dr. Robert Merton. It's all based on scientific, economic, and mathematical facts. And the way Tom puts things together and explains things to people, especially when it comes to retirement about guaranteed income, it is phenomenal, and it changes people's lives. Tom could show you how to set up the optimal retirement. There's no such thing as a best retirement, but the optimal retirement for people. And I've learned so much from Tom, and I'm very excited to have you, Tom, on my podcast today.
Well, thank you, Alan. It's good to be here.
Tom, let me ask you a question. What is the main thing that people don't understand? They're scared to death of annuities.
I think when it comes to retirement, people, think it's about their assets. How much money do they have? Do I have $1 million, $2 million? How much of my 401k? And what I tell people is, it's not your assets in retirement. It's all about two things. If you can answer these two questions, it's going to determine the ultimate success of your retirement. Number one, how much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? And number two, have you taken the key retirement risks off the table? That's what's important. And, as far as guaranteed lifetime income, what the research shows of the leading PhDs in the world is that you should figure out how much do you need to cover your basic living expenses, your food, your housing, your clothing, your cell phone, any of your normal retirement expenses should be covered by guaranteed lifetime income. And it's not in my opinion, that's what the math and science shows. Now, there are three sources of guaranteed lifetime income. The first is Social Security. Well, why does it count? Because it's a lifetime income annuity. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life, so it counts. The second source is a pension. Why does a pension count? Because it's a lifetime income annuity. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life. You take your basic living expenses, subtract out your Social Security, subtract out any pensions, whatever's left over, that's the minimum that should go into some type of guaranteed lifetime income annuity. Now, when you say, why do people hate annuities? People who know annuities don't hate annuities. There's people who don't know annuities that hate annuities, and they say, oh, the fees are too high. Well, they don't realize that most annuities are not even fee products. A single premium immediate annuity is not a fee product. If you're guaranteed $2,000 a month for the rest of life, that's exactly what you're going to get. A deferred income annuity is not a fee product. A fixed annuity is not a fee product. A base fixed indexed annuity is not a fee product. Most RILAs, registered index linked annuities, are not fee products. There's really only two types of annuities that even have fees. Variable annuities have fees and some optional riders. But if you don't want to pay fees, the vast majority of annuities are not even fee products. And I wish more people knew that. I own 11 annuities. I don't sell any annuities. I own 11 of them. We'll probably have, and by the way, Dr. David Babel in the movie, The Baby Boomer Dilemma, disclosed that he owned 14 annuities. Now here you got people who've been studying this stuff that own them. We don't sell them, but we buy them.
Yeah, I'm showing that movie and getting a lot of leads from that. People say, oh, I had no idea. And it's just like, I know you know of Ken Fisher Investments. They always, I hate all annuities. The show should use sent from my report. Well, it's a bunch of crap.
Well, I wrote an article why Ken Fisher really loves annuities, and so should you. So you can Google that. If you Google why Ken Fisher loves annuities, my article pop up. Plus, I just learned this today. I am speaking at the same meeting as Ken Fisher next week. So on the 13th, on the Monday for accredited investors, Ken Fisher, Tom Hegna, Louis Navalier. So I mean, it's going to be an interesting one next week. I'm going to post it so people can watch the fireworks.
That sounds funny, Tom, when you end up getting somebody who totally disagrees with you. Now, why are people concerned about annuities? Because it makes sense that it'd be great to be guaranteed income for life, but what do people believe they can hedge on just the stock market and stuff, or what's the reasoning for annuities?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, for the last 10 years, the market's almost gone straight up, and people say, well, my broker's gotten me 30% a year. Yeah, how's that working out this year? You know, and we're in for some tough sledding going forward. We're not at the bottom of the market yet. Don't think that, you know, and by the way, when we have these bear market rallies and the market goes up, that just encourages the Fed to raise harder and faster because he's got to get the inflation down, because we got to get interest rates down eventually. And the only way we get interest rates down is to keep raising them to break the economy. And then when the economy breaks, then he's going to have to lower interest rates. And the whole reason is because of our debt. We're $31 trillion in debt right now. Well, at 1% interest, that's only $310 billion. We can handle that. 5% interest, it's $1.5 trillion, which is the same as adding the defense budget and Social Security together. And that's just interest on the debt. And we know the debt won't stay at 31 trillion. When it hits 50 trillion, that'll be $2.5 trillion just for interest on the debt. So they know if they don't get this inflation down and interest rates back down, we're in big trouble as a country, like huge trouble. Like taxes are going to have to double, triple for some people. I mean, it'll be a disaster. And so he wants to raise rates as much as he can now. So he breaks the economy, then he can drop the rates, and maybe the country can survive all this debt.
Well, there's a Congressional Budget Office report out right now, Tom, that says by 2030, I believe, tax is going to have to go up to 66%.
Yeah.
I mean, people.
Well, you know, most of your parents' lives, the tax rate was over, the highest marginal tax rate was over 70%. In the 1950s, after World War II, it was over 90%. So we're in the high 30s now, 38, 39, whatever. It's going to have to go up into the 40s, 50s, maybe the 60%, and people don't understand that.
You know, Tom, let me ask you a question. The people you work with, and they ask you questions, have anybody ever told you that there are advisors that have advised them about sequence returns risk, longevity risk? I find that people that I talk to, their financial advisor, which is stock and bond portfolio, never tell them about these risks in retirement.
Yeah, and as we know, the market doesn't always go straight up. You know, the Japanese stock market, by the way, has been down for over 30 years. The European stock market has been down for over 20 years. In the United States, we had the lost decade between 2000 and 2010. I mean, do we forget these things? Markets do not go straight up. The reason the market has gone straight up for so long is because we had low interest rates and the Fed printed $5 trillion. Do you realize that 40% of all the money ever printed in this country was printed in the last 2 years? 40%. I mean, it's crazy. And Milton Friedman, a top economist, he said that inflation is always and everywhere a monetary event. What does that mean? That means when you print money, it causes inflation. So we printed all this money and we gave stimmy checks and all this stuff, and the market went straight up. Well, guess what? That was called quantitative easing. That's the printing of money. Now we're entering quantitative tightening, which is the shredding of money. So now they got to put that $5 trillion through the shredder. Well, what's going to happen if the market went straight up when we printed $5 trillion? What do you think is going to happen when we shred $5 trillion? Nobody's even talking about QT. They're just talking about interest rates, but it's going to be the quantitative tightening that's going to probably strangle the economy even more than the interest rates.
Wow. You know, Alan, the concern I have, and I'm going to ask Tom this question, is why annuities? When should you buy an annuity? What age do you recommend? What's the reasoning for annuities, especially if, you know, you're investing in the stock market, you have certain life insurance products, as again, Alan teaches on his program. Kind of explain when do you start to buy annuities?
All right. So annuities are for money you want to have after 59 and a half. So I'm okay with almost anybody of any age buying an annuity as long as they know that's their retirement money. That's not for the down payment on a house. It's not for a kid's college education. It's not for saving up for a new car or new house. That is not what an annuity for. An annuity is there to guarantee you will never, ever run out of money in retirement. And by the way, annuities have been around for thousands of years. People don't know this, but the Roman Empire issued in, because see, running out of money is not a new concern. Running out of money has been the number one concern. There's been people and there's been money, so it's not a new concern. You know, even in the book Sense and Sensibility that was written in 1811, there's a whole section in there on how the annuity is so powerful. So and back in the day, back in the 1600s, 1800s, nobody cared about how much money you had. It was how much income do you have. You were considered wealthy if you had income coming in, and that's what they looked at, was income, not assets. And somehow it got all turned around. And in retirement, your assets literally mean nothing. What matters is how much income do you have, and if you took key retirement risk off the table. Things like longevity risk, things like market risk, things like sequence of returns risk, things like higher taxes, inflation, long-term care. Those are big risks in retirement. And you want to, so I say the two most important things: you want to have increasing income for the rest of your life. And it's best if it's increasing tax-free income. I've converted most of my IRAs and 401ks to Roth. I've moved more of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance because multiple sources of tax-free income. So increasing tax-free income for the rest of your life, and then it's about management. What happens if you live alone? What die early? What happens if you need long-term care? What happens if taxes go up to 60%? What happens if the market crashes and stays down for 20 years? And under any of those circumstances, my retirement's going to be fine. I'm not just talking the talk, I'm walking the walk. I'm 75% retired right now, and I've got 11 annuities. I got income coming in, and I'm playing golf. I'm having the time of my life.
Well, Tom, that's exactly right. That's what I try to tell people. It's not, I can show you how to have a great secure retirement. I'm not going to make you rich, but I'm going to make sure you'll never run out of money. And they said, well, how are you going to do that? And I said, well, you've got to have guaranteed income in your life, in your retirement. And it's just amazing to me. And one of the things you talk about, replace your bond portfolio with cash value annuities, fixed index, because it'll outperform any other scenario what is that, a $10,000 bet you have with people?
Well, Dr. Roger Ibbotson did a study, and he proved that a 60% stock for bond portfolio will underperform a 60% stock, 40% indexed annuity portfolio. The Wall Street Journal this year, the case for moving some bonds to annuities. I mean, that was in the Wall Street Journal. BlackRock's got trillions in the market, and they say fixed indexed annuities are a great bond substitute. Barclays says move your bonds into fixed indexed annuities. I'm not making this stuff up. Ernst & Young just did a whole white paper where they looked at all different investment options: 90% stock, 10% bonds, 80% stock, 20% bonds, 70% stock, 30% bonds, and then they put a life insurance to go to kids. They put annuities, and they found that the portfolios that included life insurance and annuities outperformed the portfolios that just had investments. And I've been saying it for years, and all the research shows it's true. Now you've got all of these people coming out saying at least move your bonds into annuities.
And then even more. So the thing is that you said you can do it whenever you can. The difference with annuity, you can't touch till you're 59, right? Is that correct? Or
well, I mean, there are ways to get it out prior to 59 and a half, but they're complicated. You don't want to do that. So you really want annuity money is for retirement. It's not for when you're younger. It is for after 59 and a half. Yes, there are some exceptions. Yes, there's 72T, 72Q. There are ways to get money out prior to age 59 and a half without a penalty, but it's still going to be, the gains would be taxable. And so what I like to see is that people really use the annuity for retirement. You can use mutual funds, ETFs, and things for before retirement.
Well, Tom, something else that people don't know about. I did a short video on this a couple of weeks ago, but you only need to have approximately 2/3 of the money in a fixed indexed annuity that you have in a stock portfolio to give you the same distribution. Like a 4% distribution rate out of $1 million stock portfolio is $40,000 a year. Well, you only need approximately $650,000 to give you the same money, and that's guaranteed for life. You don't get that with a stock portfolio.
That's right. And that was in the Wall Street Journal almost 10 or 12 years ago, that they said you can retire with 60% of the money that a normal person would if they're dealing with a broker. Like if you have $1 million down at Merrill Lynch, 600,000 in an annuity will provide the same amount of income as $1 million down at one of the brokerage firms. And it has to do everything with the secret sauce of annuities is the mortality credits, because every check you get from an insurance company is composed of 3 parts. Part number 1 is principal. Anybody can give you principal. Part number 2 is interest or investment gain. Anybody can give that to you, but only an insurance company can manufacture that third ingredient, the mortality credits. It's extra money from the risk pool. The older you are and the longer you live, the more these mortality credits you get paid. And what math and science shows is that if you're retired and you don't have any mortality credits in your portfolio is suboptimal. It's less than what it could or what it should be. And most of the brokers out there are not putting mortality credits in the portfolio. They're not protecting against long-term care, not using life insurance as the most efficient way to pass wealth. See, I got 4 kids. And one of the reasons people don't enjoy their retirements is they think they got to leave their kids some money. Oh, we got to leave some money to Johnny and Susie. We got to leave some money to Johnny and Susie. I tell people all the time, don't leave your kids money. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to spend your money. Leave them life insurance because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. So one day my wife and I were sitting around saying, how much should we leave the kids? My wife said, I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids beneficiary, when we're both gone, they're going to get $1 million tax-free. That's $250,000 a piece, tax-free, plus whatever's left over. I said, let's start there. So we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids beneficiary. That policy is completely paid up. Do you know what the total cost of that $1 million policy was? $150,000. So now think about this. For 15 cents on the dollar, we get to transfer $1 million tax-free to our kids. But here's the best part. Who gets to spend the other $850,000? We do. So, an easy thing to do is just ask the client, hey, how much are you planning on leaving your kids? And most of the time this, whatever's left over. I say, no, give me an idea. 10,000, 100,000, $1 million. Just give me an idea. Well, 100,000, got 3 kids. You run $1,000 life insurance illustration and you show them for pennies on the dollar, you can leave 300,000 and spend the rest. So, I mean, if people would just learn some simple techniques, that's how you get the most for the least in retirement, because that's what it's all about. There's no dress rehearsal. There's no second chance. We got to get it right the first time. And that's what I write about. That's what I speak about. I sell no financial products whatsoever. I buy them, I own them, but I don't sell them.
So that's crazy, Tom. And when I'm hearing this stuff, I'm blown away because you're the education, Alan. And now I'm understanding even more. Look out with us in the podcast in the next couple of weeks, because I'm seeing this more and more and understanding Alan's religion, and it makes complete sense. Why would you want to leave your house, leave certain things, spend your money, and then leave it in a life insurance policy and invest in certain life insurance policies? Then the kids get paid off when you die. And then basically you're not going to have to deal with all these things of distribution and all the kids fighting and bickering over stuff. It's right there. It's black and white, and you enjoy your life. A lot of people save their money saying, I'm saving it for my kids, instead of going and living and enjoying the retirement. Am I right, Tom?
Yeah, and that's why, my first book was titled Paychecks and Playchecks, because most people don't have enough playchecks, so they can't enjoy their life. I've got paychecks and playchecks coming in, so I'm out playing. I play golf 4 to 5 days a week. I'm playing pickleball 2 to 3 days a week. I won the club championship in 2020 at my club at 58, and I'm playing in their 30s and 40s. I'm the current senior club champion. I mean, I'm having the time of my life. I feel like I'm a kid at camp, all right? And that's the way retirement's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be drudgery. It's not supposed to be boring. It's supposed to be fun and exciting. My wife and I are going on a Panama Canal cruise because that's on my bucket list. And then we do some on her bucket list, and we do some on my bucket, and we're having fun with it. But we can do it because we've got the paychecks and playchecks coming in, and we've already got the life insurance go to the kids, so we don't have to worry about leaving the kids. There'll be plenty for them. They'll get plenty. I'm not worried about them, but I'm not going to live a diminished retirement. So my kids, I always tell people, when I was an advisor, I'd say, wait a minute, you told me when you're retired, you're going to join the country club. You're going to buy a new boat. You're going to go see the world. Have you done that yet? They'd say, no, the market's so volatile. Interest rates are low. Bitcoin crash. They're living this just in case retirement. So they don't touch their money. They don't touch their money. They don't touch their money. Then they die. Then what happens? Well, it goes to the kids. What do the kids do with it? Oh, they join a country club. They buy a boat. They go see the world. And I tell people, I want you to join a country club. I want you to see the world. I don't want you to live a just in case retirement. If you just follow the simple principles of paychecks and playchecks, or don't worry, happy. And Alan, I think tomorrow we got a big webinar going on that they can see me do the presentation, right?
Yeah, yep, exactly. Tom, what you've taught me over these years, between what Raoul's taught me, David McKnight, I'm going to have him on here next week, but I really thank you so much for coming on the webinar today and the podcast today, and telling people out there, because they need to be educated. People are not educated on the financial aspects that the wealthy use all the time.
Yeah, and what's worse is they get bad information from guys like Ken Fisher, Dave Ramsey. And I'm not against Dave Ramsey when he says get out of debt, cut up your credit. I'm not against that. But when he
No.
says only buy term insurance, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Less than 2% of term policies ever pay a death claim. Term can't be used to leave a legacy to your kids. Term can't be used for business insurance. Term can't be used for estate planning. I can give you a whole bunch of ways that the term can't be used. Now, term is fine when you're young and your paycheck is small and you got a big family, you want to have protection. That's why you use term. But then he says, oh, well, you need it when you're older. You're going to prove that wrong just like that. Who buys the biggest policies? Old rich people do. And so if Dave Ramsey was right, old rich people wouldn't buy any policies. No, instead they buy the biggest policies.
Right.
Tom, this stuff, and Alan, I know you have another question for Tom, and I'm sure the webinar tomorrow is going to be tremendous. Go ahead, Alan, and I'm going to ask Tom one more question after that.
Well, I like the way, Tom, I like the way you explain how annuities work. You got the 4 ladies or 5 ladies go to Las Vegas each year. Can you explain that real quick?
Yeah, well, that's explaining the mortality credit.
Right.
So people say, well, what are these mortality credits? Well, let me tell you a story. 90-year-old ladies that go on vacation every year. And one year one said, hey, let's each put $100 in this mason jar. Well, then next year when we go on vacation, we'll take the jar with us. And those of us who are still alive, we'll split the money. And they said, Helen, that's a great idea. So you got 5-year-old ladies, they each put $100 in the mason jar. They seal the jar. What do you think happened the next year? Where they put the no, one lady's died. So now 4 ladies open up the jar. They split the $500. They each get $125. Now that was a 25% rate in 12 months. And I got 2 questions. How much of that money was invested in the stock market? 0. What interest rate did in that jar? 25% with no money in the market, no interest rate, because they got paid mortality credits. So ladies look at this, they look at their brokerage account, they said, this is a pretty good deal. I'm going to put it back in the jar, seal it back up, and do it again. So they decided to let it ride. The next one more lady died. So now 3 ladies open up the jar. They get to split the $500. They each get $167. That was a 67% return in 2 years. No money in the market, no interest rate. It was all due mortality credit. So then I get people say, yeah, but Tom, my clients don't want their money to disappear when they die. Well, do they have to have the money disappear when they die? No, you can do joint life with your spouse, joint life with your 5-year-old grandchild. This thing can last for 100 years. So, it just depends. The more guarantees you put on, the lower the paycheck. You want a higher paycheck, then you're going to have lower guarantees. It's up to you. The insurance company doesn't care. I don't care. Alan doesn't care which option you pick. But you can have guarantees on your money that even if you die, the money goes to family. It's just, but those mortality credits are the secret sauce of annuities. That's the one thing that you can't get from stocks or bonds or crypto or real estate. They don't pay mortality credits. Only a life insurance company can manufacture mortality credits.
Well, Tom, I just want to say one thing. I'm retired military. I retired back in '93 as a Black Hawk instructor pilot, and I salute you for your service to the country also. And we're on a mission. We need to educate people because they're not educated on everything that goes on out there in the financial world, and it's definitely it's affecting them, and not in a good way.
Yeah, and look what's going to happen now. I mean, they're all struggling. The market's down. It's going to go down further, and it could be very painful for the next. This thing could last years. I don't know, but he's got to get inflation down, or everything blows up, because we're $31 trillion in debt, and the interest on that debt. You're going to hear more about debt servicing costs, and that's a big risk right now. But I think Neil had another question.
Yeah, my question is how you got to this point as a successful author and choosing that direction than selling the products. You're basically just the expert when it comes to this. Where did you come up with that idea? Is that
Well, it was kind of a process. So what happened was I was an advisor at MetLife, and I was there for 8 years, and I made MDRT my first year. I'm like 27 years old, and I'm doing really well. So then I made it again, and I made it again. So now all the other people were asking, Tom, what do you do? What do you do? So I had this 1-hour talk. Here's how I prospect. Here's what I do. Here's I do this. Here's I do this. And so I went around office to office and doing these talks. And then they said, well, we got a big regional meeting. Will you come speak? So I did that. And then they put me in 1992, they put me in the main platform in Maui. And I gave a presentation. There are people from the home office said, man, we got to get you into. So I became the national marketing manager for variable life insurance. I went around the country, and in 1 year, we took the sales from 28 million to 105 million. then MetLife started demutualizing and doing some crazy stuff. And at the time, New York Life was reaching out to me. So I went to New York Life. I started out as an annuity wholesaler. I got promoted to regional manager, national manager. Then I went to home office, assistant vice president, corporate vice president, first vice president. All of a sudden, I'm one of the 50 top officers in the company. And I was kind of in charge of their retirement income push. And I had to take advisors who were selling sexy variable annuities and teach them about SPIAs and DIAs that are boring as can be. But you want to know what? New York Life still has a 40% market share in the SPIA and DIA market, single premium immediate annuity and deferred income annuity market. So I learned a lot of things about mortality credits. I learned about payout rates. I learned about risk management. And so when I retired from them in 2011, that's when I went out to like the whole world to teach them what I've been teaching at New York Life for 15 years.
It's a good thing. That's the thing in retirement. Whenever you retire from your day job, you can create something like you created, Tom. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I retired from the Army in like 2004. I retired from New York Life in 2011, and now I'm 75% retired from this job. But what happened is funny. On Saturday, I got a frantic call from a company that is having a top producer meeting right here in Scottsdale, and their opening speaker canceled at the last minute. And they're saying, "No, Tom, is there any chance you can come over?" And I looked at my calendar, and believe it or not, I had this morning open. So I drove over to Scottsdale, delivered the whole presentation. It went great. And they were so thankful that I was able to do that. So, I mean, look, I have fun doing this. I just don't want to spend 200 days a year on the road anymore. So I do a lot of virtual. I do not want to do a bunch of in-person stuff anymore because for 30 years, I spent 200 nights a year on the road, and it's just not where I want to spend life.
Any other questions, Alan? This is such a great information from Tom.
Oh, I could go on and on with questions for Tom, but this his time is very valuable. And again, Tom, I just want to thank you for coming on my podcast. I continue to get your books. In fact, I've got book covers coming to me here shortly for Paychecks and Playchecks. And again,
we're doing several seminars. I'm doing several seminars with you coming up. We're doing a couple Don't Worry Retire Happies. We're doing a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So if they want to watch this, no charge for it. I don't sell anything. Right. You should just come and watch it. It'll be done in an hour or less than an hour. And I think you'll get some great information.
And I've got all those links that are being sent out to everyone. If anyone that wants to, they can contact me at strategicwealth@gmail.com or call me at 910-551-1046, and I'll send them the link.
And then we'll air it on syndication tomorrow, Alan, on my radio show, the nationally syndicated radio show. I don't know if you checked it out, Tom. I got a huge following and big celebrities. And Alan's been interviewing celebrities. You've been enjoying that, right, Alan?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people.
Yeah, it's awesome. Really interesting. Ask any question to a celebrity. Can you believe that's what I give opportunities like Alan, and they really enjoy it. So I appreciate meeting you, Tom, and you taught me some stuff, man. Now I'm more and more on board to looking towards my retirement. I turned 50 January 7th, and Alan's teaching me also learning the specifics that we can be our own banker till it's time close to retirement. And that's a huge thing to teach people, because guess what? Especially if you're a business owner.
I have a life insurance policy. It's a 12-pay life insurance policy. My premium is $226,000 a year. I seriously believe this. And people think that's crazy, but they're the ones that think that life insurance is a cost. I know it's not a cost. It's an asset on my balance sheet. Every penny I put in there is there for me plus more. And I get to take it out tax-free. And I'm pretty soon going to flip the switch. And that thing is going to send me somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 a month for the rest of my life, tax-free. And I think if you can have increasing tax-free income for the rest of your life, and you manage those risks in retirement, you're going to have a happy and successful retirement. It's really all about risk management and having increasing income for the rest of your life.
So, Tom, best place to find you, where can we go?
Oh, I'm pretty simple, TomHegna.com. I have a free YouTube channel that's got hundreds of videos there. I offer some free webinars at TomHegna.com/webinars. But my best advice is to follow Alan and attend some of the seminars I'm doing with him, because I'm doing some specific webinars with him, and that'd be a great place for people to jump on. And he, even if you can't get live, register, and might be able to get you a replay if necessary, but we're doing them live, and you can ask me questions. We're going to have Q&A time and everything. So I mean, this is you to ask questions if your followers want to ask questions of me.
All right, we appreciate it, Tom. Any other questions, Alan?
No, not right now, but there will be in the future.
I'm sure tomorrow. I can be a fly on the wall of that. Everyone needs to check it out. Appreciate it, Tom. Thanks, Alan. And that was Strategic Wealth Strategies with Alan Porter, guys. Take care.